Hey, great to come out and just have a chat to people who are creative. I think well done to you for putting up your hand and saying, I want to be creative. You are creating something. And you know, when you create something and put it out there, it will be judged and critiqued, and you're willing to step up to the plate and handle that. So that's fantastic. Now, I'm an extremely unimportant person, but my mother tends to call me about this time every night. So I'm going to put this thing, if I put this on aeroplane mode, that will stop it ringing, won't it? Yeah. All right. We've got people talking, fantastic. Okay, so I've nicked a lot of this stuff, but I'm really old and I've been in radio. I'm one of those unusual people, you know, that question, what do you want to be when you grow up? I actually wanted to be a radio announcer from the very first moment that, you know, you're cognitive about you need to do something in life. So that's lucky. I don't know why I did that. I worked out through the years that not everyone is that lucky or is that unlucky. Maybe I've just said this one-dimensional thing on my life. So I'm 45 now, and when I was, I think, 5, you know, remember golden books? Whoever got golden books, like little kids reading books? And so, working class family, I don't know how he pulled it off, but for my 6th birthday, I got a portable tape recorder. I'm pretty sure my dad bought it hot at the pub, but that's all right, I don't care. And I would read my golden books into the tape recorder on this cassette, and I'd do little time calls between each of the page changes. So that was my first radio gig. I got in with all about ego, and I got in with goals. And I think one of the things, if I can communicate to creative people tonight, having set goals, and I mean whether they're a framework of success and how you want to be compared to others, or whether they're about a certain aspect of the creative field, be it digital, performance, or whatever, and you decide that well in advance of before you've gone on a journey of who you are and what you want to contribute. That could be a conflict, and I'm not saying it's wrong or right, but it's something I'd like to discuss. And I started thinking about it when I read a book at an airport. So I call this the B philosophy, and it's nothing to do with me, it's just what I've read from other people. So as we flick to the next page, you'll see who the credit belongs to. And this is a bloke called Simon Hammond. I hate this word, brand. You know, if you're a real creative and you want to be, if you're a writer or a photographer, you hate the word brand. I guess if you're, you know, in the other side of the creative field, building your brand and what you're about is really important. So this is about the most boring plotting part of the presentation, but I do want to read this through because, again, I started out as a kid, and as I got older I had specific goals. My goal, by the way, was to be the funny guy on radio doing a breakfast show. Why I did that? Well, I listened to the breakfast shows when I was a kid, made me laugh, and you'd read them in the paper, they look cool. Not Carl Sandlands, by the way, that's the biggest fucking wanker in Australia. But it was, you know, other comedic talents out there. So anyway, I realised you must know your own way, choose your own path, and find what it is that you want to know to be true. This does not mean setting goals. And there's a bit to think about there. It means forming beliefs about what it is you can be in the world in which you find yourself. It means assessing in brutal honesty, and we'll talk about that a bit later because that's tough, the best of what you have and match that to the real needs of the world around you. So there's you, what you're born with, how far you can take it, the world around you, and, well, where you can fit within it. So when I got going on my radio dream, I discovered that, you know, there's this thing, there's this perception, there's this, I call it, why do we wait? And if we click through to the next page, I want you to think about that question. Why do we wait? I'm not saying you guys are probably proactively into it, but we seem to wait as creatives with our visions and our goals and our ideals, and they tend to pop up at a young age. We seem to wait for someone to say, yeah, okay, you can go and do it. Do it, you're fine, proved, not ready yet, you're fine, go. It's crap. It really is it's the first seed of finding that creative courage, but, you know, if you were to, at the beginning or wherever you are in your creative journey, sit back and ask yourself, okay, well, how much time do I spend thinking about my mates and whether they think this is right for me? Because our social groups and family do have that feel. Similarly, concern that others who are won't approve. You know, there could be some fantastic digital designers around Perth. I don't know, but generally every town's got one tier popped up and they all congregate, and then, oh, I don't fit in, I've got some ideas too. What, you? And you're not exactly sure what your be is, what you're about. That's normal. That's where you are. And that's why you really got to get going now and not wait for anyone. Those people, if they have made it or not, and I hate that term, they somewhere along the line have found who they are. And that really is, there's two big tests. That one when people get really awful and you say, I've got to get out of this job. I'm, working here at Zimbabwe is okay, but I want to write. I want to write poetry. I want to video direct film clips. I've got something to say. And you might have a social group or a parental group around you go, ooh, stick to the nachos. And you will get that. You will get that. The bigger your goal, the greater your dream, the less people will tell you it could happen. And that's the truth. I mean, your parents are probably the number one persons in your life who will tell you to be cautious. And, it's something for you to think about. So, courage. And as we get on to the next slide, I think that's the big thing. And, we all talk about courage. In the creative industry, I work in radio. I've worked in television. Obviously, I create a lot of content now, be it whichever radio station I've worked with. It takes courage to get on the air and be a radio announcer. I was a radio announcer. Look, I got a bit of white line fever when I was a radio announcer. I couldn't quite connect the dots between being brave and being stupid. So I thought, okay, well, I'll just get off the air. And I found a lot of love around guiding announcers, building shows. And whilst it's only within the world of commercial radio, you can hit 1 million people every day with the entertainment you create, and you can come up with 15 hours. So it takes a lot of courage to say what you want to be. It is so easy to say half what you want to be. Sometimes we say, I want to be, we say something else and in our head we hear something else. There's no right or wrong way. Sometimes if you turn around and tell your whole family and friends you want to be this, it weighs you down with the amount of times you've got to catch up with grandma. So how's your idea about becoming a famous actor going? I've not really seen you in a movie yet. It's like, okay, I should have said that. But if you want to be something, just know within yourself. And it gets back to that first part, it's like you do need to get to know creatively what your drive is, because if you can connect that with the goal you're going for, look, whether you get wherever you think you're going, the journey there will be just a fantastic one. And so I've seen a lot of people in radio and TV who have got strange goals from their skill base or who they seem to be. And look, that's their personal journey. In my job, sometimes it's part of my job to arrogantly and horribly tell someone, look, this quite isn't the direction for you. This may be the direction for you. And, that's fine. Sometimes those chats go great. Sometimes it hurts and those people kick on and do other things. But courage is a lot of what you need. Courage isn't some masculine energy. It's not any particular energy other than drive. Just an ability to learn to go, okay, I've had a setback, I'll get up and keep going. So, the people, and again, it's touching on what I mentioned before, but parents and peer group, is anybody else doing it? So you want to, just imagine if someone said, I want to be a poet. Could you imagine the lines of people who say, well, you won't eat, you won't ever get a credit card, all these wonderful things. You won't do this, but you just want to do it. And you've got to make a decision within that framework of how can I make it work within the framework of the world around me? And that's courage. Okay, that's courage. The competition's too tough. You go, oh God, I don't want to get out there now. If you wanted to be a stand-up comedian right now in Australia, look, some people would say, in fact, let's have a chat. Who's into stand-up comedy? Watches it, has seen it on on TV or something. We all have, right? So just say, is anyone in the class here? Anyone in the auditorium? That's even worse. Does anyone have a performance goal, like a theatre performance goal or anything like that? No. Okay, we're going to turn this around anyway. If I was a 22-year-old and I looked at the world around me and said, I'm not happy with the direction the world's going in. I'm not happy with the direction Australia's going in. I was hopeless at uni. I'm sitting around talking to my mates. I can see these great stories. And who's out there, I don't think I can get up and do anything. Dave Hughes is out there and he's like booking out every ticket between him and Will Anderson. There's about 10 seats left and, you know, and I went to the Melbourne Comedy Festival, there's 4,000 shows, and how possibly could anyone cut through? Well, it doesn't matter. The competition's never too tough if you've got something unique to add to it. In fact, when something's going off, and the old story of the trend is your friend, jump in, you know, so don't be intimidated by that, and don't be put off by something that no one can even imagine. So back to the guy that wanted to be a poet. Well, you know, where are the haiku vocalised comedians out there whose sets finish exactly at the right rhythm? Let that mind go so good. But anyway, you've got to get out there and keep doing it. Under the preface of competition is too tough, well, it's not. It's not. That's just a signal to yourself. And again, back to it, surviving the who you. And that's really hard. I mean, the what you? You want to be on radio? Come on. And that's something that others do to us. But as a community of creative people, I'm sure you know now, and you've bothered to come out. Someone said to me before, it's a pretty cold night for Perth people to get out there. Really? I'm in from Melbourne, don't think it's that cold, but yeah, if you're willing to come out, I mean, there's no ice on the ground, you know. If you're willing to come out and spend time with other creatives, I think that's a fantastic thing. And you don't even have to know what each other is doing in detail. It's just that you are willing to get yourself out there. I mean, invariably, whatever career path you choose, being the creative, the contributor, it's going to be the really hardest part to get. And so, but that's part of the beauty of it. So, yeah. The people around you, they will fade away in their opinions when you lock down exactly what it is you're about, what kind of it is you want to be within yourself when you're doing what your goal is. And I'll go over that one again. When you're doing your goal internally, what is it doing to yourself? Now, again, back to me, I really love radio, and it's strange, I do love the commercial vibe and hit songs and coming up with dumb ideas and building breakfast shows, and I'm being what I want. The ratings have hit 92.9 now. I turned it all around, got rid of a lot of people, made negotiations for other people to work at other radio stations, and rebuild the brand, change the colours. Hey, Lisa's now a big TV star right across Australia on Channel 9, so if you know who I'm talking about there. But I am being what I'm doing. The ratings dropped 2 points. I think we're setting up this thing we call a brand for a bigger, longer run, and that's in the world of radio, but I'm being what I love doing. And, you know, if I get the ask from here or whatever, I'd just be as happy working back at a regional radio station, and I just, again, lucky, but I'm working within that thing I want to be within myself. So how am I feeling when I'm doing what it is I love? That doesn't mean you won't get great stress and have, you know, really big ups and downs. I mean, I love radio, but I was part of the network that had some really catastrophic, that word, things happen to us, and you've got to handle that. And, you know, being in this world of ours, when we create and get out there, anything can happen. So, who you be. Choosing being creative is the first step. So well done. Give yourself, yeah, good. Come on, give yourself. The bold thing you've done. You want to be creative. Choosing what to create is the next step. So you're in the field of where you want to be. What are you guys like roughly? What fields are you in? Is it writing? What is it? Just yell out something. Anyone? You, young lady down there with the glasses, and you too. What are you pursuing? Fashion. Fantastic. Next to you? Yeah. Oh, you're a singer. No, the other side.
Holistic healing.
Holistic healing. Yourself?
Graphic design. Graphic
design. Right up the top left-hand corner. Lady with the glasses, unless it's a guy. Graphics? Photography. That's an art form. Gentleman to the far right. Yes.
Postman.
Which one?
Postman.
Postman. Very creative. One of the, you know, energy clean industry that. Unless actually they've changed that now. So it's $1 for more than $1 for a standing post comes once a week. So, you know, you might get an upgraded motorbike. Wherever it is, within that field, you can get going right now and being and activating and doing within it. So choosing how to create, and that's just, you know, working out within the field how you're going to do it, how often you're going to do it, and your vision and, you know, your pathways, which we'll talk about. And then after a while, you'll build your own creative circle, and you'll recreate what you created. Again, I think, after 10 years in the one kind of creative pursuit, I believe in 7-year cycles, but over 7 years you go through a cycle of pretty much making every big mistake you can. And actors tell me that's true, radio announcers, that's absolutely true, marketers tell me that's true, architects tell me that's true. And it's kind of 7 years of that first, the big mistakes you can make, and the bigger the risk you've taken, the bigger mistake. And that's all a good journey. You get to a point, and it's a marvellous point if you stick with it and you stick to your vision. You get this marvellous point that vision you had when you were like 20 to 25, you go, wow, well look, the DNA of what I believed back then is still with me, but you see a bit further beyond the horizon. And if I can tell you one thing right now, whatever the horizon you see now is, you get going and not wait for the other people to tell you and all that other stuff, and build your own pathways. That horizon just comes up you so fast, and it's a great thing to see, and you get there and you've got to recognise it. And this getting going, this how do I get going thing is reinvented when you're in the level of pursuit you want into another feeling called how can I go higher, larger, bigger. And that's when you learn to be creative and you make a decision about being a good person or to get your daggers out and kill anyone that's before you. Hello, advertising marketers and all that. No, true. No, not true. No, true. Not true. Radio people, me, who knows? Look, the survival instinct. Sometimes you just got to make a hard decision because you believe in your vision. There will be times if your vision's bold enough, you'll have fights and go to war for it. In fact, if you were to go through all the industries, like the creative industry, actors, TV, whatever you call, artists, photographers, my God, they are creative, passionate people, and they will go to war for things that are, to what we call the layman, are intangible. I used to work for the Nova Radio Network. I worked there for 10 years, and we have this emblem. I still say we. They had this emblem called Nova Boy. It's this little blobby type thing. It got really good brand tracking, so we, hire agencies. In fact, Adam Ferrier from Naked Communications, that big bearded guy who goes on and talks like he's a really great guy. And he did this. He said, this guy's an untapped asset. People, they talk about Dave Hughes and Merrick and all that, but they really love this guy. We had a 2-day conference on what gender Nova Boy could be. 44 executives, 2 marketing agencies, discussions about 2 days about this thing, and the 3 people that came up with the idea of Nova Boy at Nova, in the end, after I think about $25,000 for this conference, was like, no, we'll just leave it as it is. Good decision. I think later they went on to make it robotic and sing and wrecked it, but anyway, that's life. So choosing to recreate what you created, on days when it just seems tough and you can't get going, there will be a time in the future when you've got through all that and you're in the game and you've got your own stamp and your own footprint, and that's when you start recreating and making a real difference, You sometimes see it happen in music, again, the 7-year cycle, and don't be afraid in your industry to sit back and, I was talking about comedians before, I could easily turn around and say, well, where's the next young Russell Brand coming through in Australia? It's Australian comedians filled with nice guys and girls that have got their TV gig and no one's really pushing the boundaries because everyone's set up and all that. If I was a young comedian coming through, I'd go, bang, I'd rip the carpet from under those guys, who back 7, maybe more years ago were coming up and doing that. Certainly in lots of fields you see a cycle coming up and the next wave of talent in radio and television we call coming through. So how do you be now? Which is the next slide, and this is, and I'm just checking my time here, this for me is something that I spend a lot of time with in telling other people. I recently caught up with a bunch of the kids I shouldn't say that, adults from Whopper, and they're all wanting to be, this is the broadcasting side, television and radio, and so they're going out there recognising their dreams and goals and taking that extra year diploma to do the broadcasting unit and deepen their skill base, which is, I think, the training and skills that you can learn around the country are fantastic, and I recommend you do as much of it as possible. So anyway, talking to these guys, and because it's commercial radio, in commercial radio I will always be approached by people who are leaning on the musical side and maybe in bands, and the email, the question is always, it's a good one too. I'm sick of how Australian radio doesn't support up-and-coming bands. How can we even get a shot at airplay? And the guy had a chat with me about it, and so the conversation then, and look, I'm not saying it isn't fair, but the conversation then was, why isn't my band on the radio? Why aren't more Australian bands on the radio? And at the end of the day, if the guts of this presentation is one thing, if I'm not giving you what you want, then screw me, don't worry about it. You've got to go out there and be. And that's going back to the beginning with the guy, John Hammond and his B brands. He really is about, well, who are you? Be it. What do you want to do? Get being it and have it congruent. So for me, I thought we'd do a little exercise and I'll bring you in on how, in the musical world, right? So you're a band, you could be a photographer wanting to get a gallery up and have a gallery. You could be a digital artist wanting to get your work out there and get it into the agencies to be assessed in upcoming pictures. You could be an actor who wants to get a job as an actor in any sense. Or you could be a journalist going, look, I want to do hard-assed interviews and I want to do, reporting. You might want to be a Tonight Show host. You might want to be a Tonight Show host. It is possible for all those things to happen, if you're here now, the moment you walk out. And in some way, I'm sure you're already being what you want to do in this creative pursuit. So I thought, okay, well, I'm going to choose a band. And if we go to the next... Now, before you go to the next slide, I picked a band name. So it's a 4-piece band. And they're pretty cool. They're pretty fucking cool. Let's go. Bring it on. Next slide. Ladies and gentlemen, meet Nugget. Come on. Nugget. In fact, there's so much a 4-piece band, there's 5 of them. I'm going to stuff that up. So, Nugget, I just made that up. It was going to be a rapper called Nugget, actually. I was going to talk about how I'm a rapper called Nugget and how can he be bit, just, I didn't want to do that. So I changed. So Nugget's a 4-piece band, fashion-wise inspired by, oh God, the Wiggles? Potentially the Wiggles, yeah. So just pretend Nugget's the guy that I was talking to. He's studying radio on the side because in case he's not a rock star, he can back announce rock bands. Whatever. 4-piece band, they want to be on the radio, playing to large live crowds and living the dream. So if that's their goals, I'm kind of going, well, the best answer is you want to make beautiful music or you want to make music that makes a difference. And all that's fine. Nothing wrong to say, I just want to be popular. I mean, that's okay. It is called pop music. So what could Nugget do to be the great potential they are clearly right now? What could they do? At the moment, Nugget rehearses once a fortnight. They've written a song. They've got a song. They've learned about 8 to 10 cover songs. They've never had a live gig yet. But their energy, if I wanted to be blunt, goes into that prick at the radio. They won't play us. And if he could just say, I'll play us, then we'll go and write a song. But what's the use of writing a song if he's not going to play us? And they want to get out there and party and do it. That's fine. So let's go through to the next slide. And how can Nugget be right now? Okay, so they could call me. He could pull me aside, that guy, and say, look, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? Okay, we'll get rid of those stupid fucking shirts. All right, let's be honest. The whole fashion looks bad and it has to go. And then I'd say, what I would do for you, I'm going to come out to your studio, your garage, play for me. I'll sit down, and I would do this. Absolutely, I'd do this. I'd sit down, play for me. I'm probably going to hear a band that's okay, but I'm going to pick the holes in their musicianship. I'm going to say, well, you might be angry at me for not playing it on the radio, but, the drum's kind of out of time. Your guitar's not quite hitting it. You just hear, maybe they're great, I don't know, but you need a brutal assessment. And that's hard, and that's why, if you can get a peer group going, and if you can reach out to people that you trust and you think they're good people, then you do need that. I'll wrap up with the people that I've reached out to in the past and given me brutal assessment on my craft and all that. So anyway, Nugget and the band go, shit, we're hopeless. All right, we've got a long way to go. They're going to make a decision there, and it's harder in a collaborative. Do they continue? They got the desire, if they're being who they are, and they sit back and go, you know what, seriously, I don't really care about the radio and all that. I just want to make great songs. And our first step is, we'd love to play a gig. We want to get a live gig going. Okay, so we'll rehearse. Get better. I'll come back in 3 months. And you've all got your jobs, and I'll come back in 3 months. And if you're better, I'll be honest. It might take 2 years, And then finally, if they're focused down on that, they can easily get a live gig. Now, knowing Nugget, he'd turn around and go, yeah, Todd, we've done all this rehearsal, but no bloody pubs will book us. So again, Nugget, have you not learned anything? Okay, mate. So this is where, in this day and age, being a creative is so much, well, not easier, but you've got more opportunity whilst more competition. Nugget, get your own Facebook page going. We'll fix the fashion stuff and get a photo going, not the whole cheesy rock photo. Record a couple of cover songs and get it on a YouTube channel and start linking it. Get your family and friends to start liking your page. Have a gig in your back garden. Do something. Get in front of people, you know. And I always encourage people to, well, behave like a big band, right? Nugget, you guys are ready? Have you got a mate that's got a little bit of business now, or someone that wants to come to the gigs and have free beer? Okay, your mate Jimmy, he's hopeless, but he can be the manager for the now. And Jimmy's just got to turn up and go, all right, guys, he sends out an email. This is how a big band works. A manager goes, right, guys, we've got 3 rehearsal sessions this week. We need 3 more songs by the end of the month. We're looking at gigs in 6 months away, but we've got to hear rehearsals. Let's have 3 rehearsals and we'll have a band meeting. They have their rehearsals, they catch up, they play back some stuff, and I'm conscious of time, I know. They play back some stuff and, yeah, we're okay. Their belief grows. They've got a system there. They keep doing that, reiterating. Then they look at their Facebook and they've got friends commenting. And then they announce, right, Nugget's debut concert. I know this sounds cheesy and really kind of small grain, but it's really how things get going. I mean, Nugget could be, within a year, playing live gigs. And all that has to happen there, someone's just got to mention to a booking agent, hey, these guys, look, they're a bit raw, and they get a few free songs going, and from there it takes off. If I can demonstrate that Nugget's sitting there whinging that I'm not playing his songs, he doesn't need me. If it goes well in 3 years' time, the kids are coming into my office going, hey, have you heard of Nugget? Oh, I've got this really weird guy, flashback from years ago, dressed up like, you know, the kids band, but now they're on. That's okay. People are talking about it, and they build a supportive audience. So thinking like that successful band, thinking like a photographer that's got a vision, thinking like an actor who could easily do the roles that, you know, go out to others. You just take that creative, courageous leap, have the tribe around you that believe in you, and you're on your way. You're on your way. Where it ends up, there's no guarantees, but it's kind of about it. I'll go to the next slide and just talk about people who I see be and are always being. Someone that's been a great influence on my career is Michael Gudinski, who's he's really older than me, and he's crazy. And he started back in the 70s as a booking agent. He started a concert called Sunbury back in the early 70s. From there, he went on to be a booking agent, Skyhooks, all that. Probably Lent Rock, discovered Kylie Minogue, you know, Frontier Touring. They bring all the big concerts out. He's at every concert. He knows all the radio announcers, and I dealt with him a lot in my Nova days and these days. He's just got this energy. He's always being it on. He's always resetting himself. You know, he'll stop and just sell it all. He sold his company in the mid-90s to the Murdochs for about $500 million and started again and just rebuilt it all up, you know. So he's constantly recreating that circle. Sam Kavanagh, who I didn't know for many years because he was EPing Hamish and Andy, and that was a show that was very successful, bashing my radio stations up. But I got to know Sam now, and he's just a fascinating guy. He doesn't want to be a star. He doesn't want to be out there. He's amazing at bringing creative people together and making it happen. And don't be surprised if what you want to do, I mean, I hope you achieve the absolute apex of the goal that you want. But if you love the craft you're getting into and you build up all this knowledge, you know, you can get to a spot where you've got a fantastic amount of experience and you get more satisfaction out of discovering, making, converting, turning, bringing ideas together. That's what I do now within the realms of radio, and I love it more than anything I've done. Guy Dobson, who's an old boss of mine, he's also an eclectic, crazy personality. He just bangs on always, be it a radio announcer, a band, a song. Does it make an emotional connection? There isn't an art form, digital, anything. There isn't any kind of art form. I chuck in parts of dentistry and surgery in there that doesn't, in its successful mode, make an emotional connection. And that gets back to, again, who are you, what are you about? And Nonna Polar. So if you're ever having a bad day, have you checked out Nonna yet? Have you heard of Nonna? Yeah. Okay, so this is just a creative genius move. A guy, Italian background family in Melbourne, he just records his Nonna going crazy about things, and she's hilarious. I mean, it's just a typical snapshot of Aussie multicultural life. You know, Nonna's got a 12-year-old grandson, and her son, you know, Mitchell, they filmed the time that she told he told his mother that her grandson Mitchell was getting a tattoo, all sleeves and everything. She just snaps. She just snaps and goes off. And she's in the moment. She knows.